Everybody, what's going on? I'm Fabian for Liberty, Fabian Calvo. FabianForLiberty.com is my website. I had a great webinar yesterday. I had people from literally all over the world on it. So if you joined in on that, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Today I want to talk about a real, I think, interesting story. One that goes right into my forecast for the coming end of this current business cycle. And prior to that, really the stock market, the real estate market, absolutely blowing up to the upside, all manipulated, of course. And remember, I'm the guy who, when the stock market went down to 15,600 and you had almost everyone talking about, economic collapse was on hand, it was about to happen. I said, no, it's not. It's not going to happen. In fact, this will be used to catapult stocks even higher. My forecast is that stocks, the Dow Jones will go over 20,000. Stock market's back up to about 18,000. It's because of the cheap credit being created by the Federal Reserve. Now, what have we also heard from the Federal Reserve over the last several years was that they were going to be raising interest rates. And every quarter, it's like, oh, this time it's going to happen. Now in December, it's going to happen. Well, today we have, Yahoo News, Economic Times, Zero Hedge, all these different places coming out and quoting Janet Yellen. Actually, Yahoo News was quoting Janet Yellen, talking about her consideration for negative interest rates. So if you don't know what a negative interest rate is, it's basically banks charge you money for you to keep your money in that bank. Now, negative interest rates via inflation are technically already happening. If inflation runs at, close to 10% a year, which is probably what it is when you factor in everything, and you have a savings account that gets barely 1%, you're actually losing money every year. So instead of lying to you and doing that, now they're just going to come out and say, no, we are going to take your money if you keep it in our banks. And the Fed and the big banks that own the Fed, they're doing this because then they can get away with what they say, the banks will be forced to lend more money. And that plays right into the real estate pump and dump that I've been talking about now for well over almost 4 years now, where cheap credit, if you think cheap credit's flowing now, wait till they roll out negative interest rates. Now, negative interest rates aren't new to the Fed. It started in the 1970s in Switzerland. Then Sweden tried it out. Most recently, we had the European Central Bank have zero interest rate policies go to negative interest rate policies, where they're also negative interest rates or just about 0.20, something very small. But what I find most telling about this is that it clearly shows the Fed is beginning this rollout campaign of eventually getting to negative interest rates because the structural economy is so bad. When you have an economy that has no real growth, no real manufacturing, no real saving and investment, you have an economy run by central bankers that are just creating multiple bubbles. That's what in essence has happened and will continue to happen both in stocks and in the real estate market. So I'd love to hear your feedback on this. What do you think about negative interest rates? Last point I'll just mention real quick is I think that we're still in a place, ladies and gentlemen. I know this may not be popular. I know it's not going to get the views of if I, keep talking about economic collapse. An economic collapse is coming. I like to call it more, though, the end of the current business cycle. And it will be unlike anything America has experienced before. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. Just because the debt is so high, the derivatives in the quadrillions. I mean, you literally have gangster, criminal, financial terrorists running the economy, running the Fed, running the big banks. And everybody is circles around that. From Congress, from the big pharma companies, from all these other multinationals, they're all playing. It's like this revolving door that they all play in the same pond, if you will, and everyone else suffers, or potentially will suffer from the fallout of these multinationals coming together. The 1% of 1% really is what they are. But I would just say that we're still in this time, where we have, I think, at least a year, and I continue to push this out just based on what's really happening in the economy. I'm not going to keep calling for a global economic collapse like everybody else is, unless I think it's about to happen. My indicator is the Dow Jones surpassing 20,000. We're not there yet. We're not yet at the real estate, even though there's been articles and people talking about it, how the real estate bubble is now bigger than the 2006, 2007 bubble. We're not there yet either. We will be there. And if you know anything about Austrian economy, you know that prior to the next crash, the booms get bigger. Now, these are all manipulated booms, if you even want to call it that. It's all cheap credit that creates the asset bubbles. But that's what it is. The boom was big in 2006, 2007. The crash was big. This next artificial boom will be much bigger than 08, 07, 08. That's my indicator for when this thing's about to fall apart. We're not there yet. Love to hear your feedback. I'm Fabian Calvo, Fabian for Liberty. Thanks for watching. I'm out.